everyone, welcome to Coach on Command. My name is Arron Littleton, and I'm the head coach of the Gymnastics Sport Center Storm, two-time AGA Champion, and your host for this hour of excitement and wonder. Thanks so much for tuning in. We've got a great show for you. I've got some esteemed colleagues here for you who are here with me, and they are going to introduce themselves, and we'll get the show on the road.
I'm Coach Kaegan. I now suddenly have random stats.
I'm Coach Tracy, and I'm pretty sure Kaegan is not of this world.
What world are you from?
Uranus.
All right, here we go. So, obviously, this sport runs the entire spectrum of emotions. It's crazy difficult for the first thing. It's dangerous, and it can be frustrating. It'll make you feel all the things from fear to anger to elation, joy in there sprinkled in, and stress as well. But with all the ups and downs on this acro roller coaster that we're on, you've got to have a reason or a set of reasons to keep you going and pushing through obstacle after obstacle. So tonight we are going to talk about motivation. And so first question, gentlemen, what do you think is the strongest motivational force in acro sports? Whether it can be fear, it can be anger, it could be whatever. What do you think the strongest motivational force is?
I think wanting more is a pretty strong motivational force. Specifically, we have this deal with a lot of our team girls that if you do really good round off back handspring springs, closer to the end of the workout, we'll start working back tucks. So giving them a goal and an aspiration, but putting a pretty valid hurdle in front of them that they're very willing to learn just about anything.
You know, and I think that that's solid because, and so I'll just hop in here for a second to say that, yeah, one of our girls, she told me like 3 seasons ago, she was like, Coach Arron, if I do a no-fall beam routine, you have to drink crab juice. And I was like, I don't even know what crab juice is. Is it a thing? Who knows? I don't know. In Texas, we do not have crab juice. But she finally, like a year later, got a no-fall beam routine. She was like, you got to drink crab juice. I was like, bring me some crab juice. I'll drink it. It's like, if that's what keeps you on the beam and keeps you moving forward, then I'm all for it.
I would say that the strongest motivational force is the want to win. And I would say, first off, that winning can come in many different forms. Some people feel like they've won just because they landed a back handspring or a back tuck without landing on their face. Whereas other people want to see a perfect 10 on the scoreboard. Winning is different for anyone, I would say. But I do think that winning is probably, in my opinion, the strongest motivational force to keep going and get better, or to push yourself to the next step.
Yeah, and that's good. And so, I think that obviously that's one of the most, whether it is the actual most or not. And so I figure that would come up. And, yeah, winning is, wanting to better yourself and constantly be moving forward is certainly a natural thing to want in this sport. But I'm going to go the other way. And I'm going to say that is the will to not fail. And I think that failure can be a huge motivator, whether for good or for bad. And, I see it all the time, and it's like the girls, they want to stay on the beam. They want to stay on the beam so bad. They want to stay on the bar set. And they're all type A. And so they're all, pushing each other and pushing the coaches and trying to make everybody better all the time. And so you don't get in this sport and do all these crazy things if you're not a little bit crazy, if you're not highly motivated in the first place. You certainly don't get to the level where you're at competition doing crazy stuff and always trying to one up yourself. And so the motivating factor to them is sometimes not to do it or to be great. It is that all of their friends are doing it and they don't want to get left behind and they don't want to be the only one who can't do something. And so I see it both ways. And I think obviously wanting to get first place and wanting to win is a huge motivator. But I think that failure and not failing can be just as big of a motivator for a lot of these kids because they want to, nobody wants to get in last place. So then we have the second question we've got is, what is the easiest the easiest one of those motivational factors, and I mean it could be any of the ones I listed or different ones, that is the easiest to coach into? What's the easiest one to work with, and then what's the hardest?
Coach Aaron, touching on kind of what you said just a moment ago, while I think in parkour, fun is the easiest mindset to coach into. Not everyone comes just wanting to succeed and do all of the best tricks. Some just want to come, have fun, learn a few tricks that they can show off to their friends, and have a good time with it. I would say that the winner or the would-be winner is probably the hardest to coach into if they fail, because some people take that failure really hard. If they come to a trick that they can't, maybe the others do get it and they don't. Some people take that really, really hard, and it's difficult to coach from that perspective. I would say that's probably one of the hardest points to coach from. Someone that fell behind or failed a trick, and they have a mental block that they're not able to get past. Because you can do a lot of tricks to help someone succeed, and you can do a lot of tricks to help with the mental block, but it's still up to the student to get past it in the end.
Yeah, and I think that, sometimes I've had kids like this, that you get kids that are so talented that they come in and they've never failed at anything before, and it's like I've got kids on my team that are like just came up and they just went up and up and up the ranks, and it just happened super quickly. And so when they first meet that resistance, it kind of hits them right in the face, and they don't know what to do. And so yeah, I think that's a super good point that you just made. All right, Kaegan, what do you got?
I'm not really sure about the easiest mentality to coach in, but I can tell you two of the hardest. In my experience, fear is one of the hardest. If they're too scared to do it, then it very simply won't happen. The other, like this actually might be harder, is I won't do it. Saying I won't, I can't, I never will is the worst mentality to have about it. If you go into anything thinking I can't, then you won't. It's very simple.
I think I've said this once before, but you can truly defeat yourself before you even start if you've defeated yourself in your head before you even tried physically.
I think that, the easiest one for me to work with, and that's because I've learned in 12 years how to push a button or two. You got to kind of figure out, and I mean, ultimately as a coach, that's really what you're doing. You got to figure out, it's every kid, every skill, every situation in the gym is a problem to be solved. It is and you've got to figure out, and you're like, okay, what happens if I slide this piece this way? What happens if I do this? What if I, and so you're really trying to put together a puzzle. And I think that when you go into it with that mentality, it makes it less frustrating for you as a coach, and so it can help you if you're just like, okay, I just got to figure this out. I mean, there's, I've got the tools at my disposal to do this, but it's like, okay, how am I going to go about, fixing this the way it needs to be fixed? And so for me, the easiest kids to work with are the ones who are motivated by the drive to be the best, because I can always, and I don't want to, it sounds a little bit, it sounds a little bit nefarious, and that's not what I'm meaning to say, but it's like I can always play on that, because I'm like, hey, why don't you, go and do this? It's like, oh, that wasn't very good. It's like, hey, you remember that 6 you got? It's like, hey, why don't we try and make that a 7 next time? Are you trying to get a 7.5? Are you trying to get an 8? Whatever. I mean, and so as a coach, I think that one is really easy, because, like I said, they're all type A, all the kids that you're working with, and they're always like, yes, let's go. I want to be the best. And now occasionally you'll get a kid that's like, yeah, my mom made me be here. but for the most part, those kids don't make it as far as the other ones. It's hard to get them to be motivated enough to get to the higher levels.
Very rarely do they come in and find out, I do want to be here, I'm actually having fun, and I want to move forward. Usually once they're set in that kind of mindset, it's hard to break out.
Yeah, absolutely. And so yeah, there's always something you can do in a competitive sport. To the kids that want to be the best, there's always something you can do to kind of play, move some chess pieces around on the board and be like, and help them be motivated to do it. It's like, well, that kid, that kid that beat you from the other gym, it's like, they're going to be doing this underswing back up rise. Your teammates are doing this underswing back up rise. And now it's not to be like, oh, well, you're not good enough. That's not, I need to draw a delineation between those two things, because that's not what I'm saying. But there's always something that you can do to help motivate them and be like, hey, you want to be the best, right? Well, somebody else is working harder than you now, and you've got to, if you want to be the best and you want to get to where you want to go to, and you want to collect all these trophies and medals at competition time, well, you better get to work, because those people who are super motivated, they're going to realize it's like nobody's going to give anything to you. If you want something, you got to take it out of somebody else's hands, and that is basically what competition is. And so drive to be the best, super easy to work with. The one, and now I think what Kaegan said about the I can't, I won't, the kids are just like, yeah, I don't know. I don't want to do this. I won't. I just want to lay here on the floor until my mom comes and takes me out of this gym. Those are hard to work with. And so I'll give you that. That may be harder than what I'm going to say. But of the kids who want to be here, the ones that are so steeped in fear, that is the hardest one, because they can get so far down in the recesses of their own brain that it's hard to drag them back to reality. And sometimes this is a month, year-long process, depending on what is going on in the particulars of each case. But yeah, I mean, fear can just really drive a wedge in any sort of timetable you had and any sort of plan that you had. And so for me, I think that's the hardest to deal with. All right, last question. So obviously the kids need motivating. They always need motivating, and you as the head coach or the person who's in charge of them, that's kind of your job, to be a little bit of the puppet master that helps them get in the mindset that they need to be in. But we as coaches, we need some motivation sometimes too. And so what is it exactly that motivates you to keep coaching? And so Kaegan, you've got, and I'll personalize this for you. You just went to your first competition, right? You were just first meet ever, so applaud Kaegan for that. You saw all the stuff that goes on, when you've been in the gym for a while. It's like you see all the whatever mental blocks, the fear, the stress, whatever can keep things from happening the way that you would want them to. And I think all those things are magnified in competition. And so you've seen all of the things that can happen. And so what motivates you to keep doing this?
It's two things that really go hand in hand. It's the fact, and I've said this before, once or twice, I'm wanted by the children. So it's the fact that I am wanted by them, and I am needed. If I leave this to somebody else, it could be somebody who doesn't love working with kids. It could be somebody who doesn't love gymnastics. It could be somebody who doesn't love parkour. It's just some random person on the side of the street that just was like, I need money.
We'll call him Jeff, the random person on the side of the road.
If Jeff wants a paycheck, he can go flip burgers instead of flip children.
Jeff, the random bro, motivates me to stay in the gym as well.
The random bro.
But on the reels, one of my kids in particular, every time I come in, we've got this goofy wave that we do to each other where we're just full body, whole hands, just going at it. I love that. Now some of my other kids have joined in on that. I think that's great. Little stuff like that, seeing the joy on their face whenever they see, oh, Coach Tracy's here today. This is going to make class so much more fun. I love seeing that. I love seeing their excitement. I love seeing them excel, and I love seeing them grow. Gosh, some of my kids, one, they've grown literally because I've known them for a couple of years, but also they've grown figuratively. Front flips, so many of them couldn't even land them at all, even on a trampoline. But now we've got several that can land them on the floor even. And they look decent. They're actually good. They're landing on their feet, and they're not falling over when they land. They can stick their landings now. That sort of stuff is amazing to me. I love seeing that growth. I love seeing them excel. I love seeing their excitement when I come in. That motivates me beyond anything else to come to the gym, because I know my kids are happy to see me there. They believe that they'll have more fun because I'm there. And I think that's great. I don't know what else to say about that. It feels good. So I would want that to happen every week. Why wouldn't I come?
I think that we've touched on that before, and I think that, yeah, I mean, obviously the kids and wanting them to, excel, and, there was a time in which I thought that I wasn't going to be able to coach anymore. And a time shortly before COVID when we were, basically out of business. And, I just remember thinking, it's like, I'm never going to see these kids again. And I mean, that was like the most heart-wrenching thing to me. But that's actually not what I'm going to say. But I do understand, and definitely agree with what y'all said about this. But for the longest time, aside from the love of the kids and wanting to work with them and all that kind of stuff, was the will to win. I wanted to be the best, and there was a I know they said a horde of parents, but very early on in my career that were tremendously disrespectful to me as a coach, and they made it very clear that they did not want their kids working with me, and just because they didn't think that I was as good as any of the other coaches in the gym. That's the sort of thing that kind of sticks with you, and for the longest time I had a chip on my shoulder and I wanted to win. I wanted to prove to them that I could do this, and that sort of thing, it really kind of dies pretty hard, because you're like, okay, nobody thinks I can do this, and it's like at that point you either quit or you double down on yourself, and that's basically what I did. And yeah, so will to win, to be the best, definitely a huge part of why I did this for a long time.
I hear you loud and clear, 2-time AGA champion.
and so yeah, and but the thing too is I felt like I needed that trophy, as candid as I can be. I felt like I needed that trophy to validate myself as a coach, and I felt like until I got it, it was always going to be me being second best and them being right about me. And so I worked really hard for a long time to get that trophy, and now, as you said, I've got 2 of them. And so now, obviously, still the will to be the best. There's a lot of stuff that I haven't accomplished that I still want to accomplish, and I've still got the love of the game, and I've got the love of the kids, and all of that, and just working with them. But to go through all the grind, to be the head coach of a competitive team, and to deal with the ups and downs and all of that, I think you've still got to have the fire inside of you. You still gotta want to be the best, because once you do that, once you don't have that anymore, it really becomes not that much fun, And so, yeah, love of the game, love of the kids, wanting them to do what they're doing, but also I still feel like there's a few open spots on my bingo card still. I'd like to hang a few more banners and do a few more things, and I think all of that is super important to want to not only coach but compete. So you got to find it within you, whatever it is that makes you want to do this. All right, and so randomly strong opinion of the day.
Oh, just right into it. Okay, so I want to precurse this with, I didn't write this down, but I agree with it. Glitter is horrible. It sucks and should go away.
I mean, he was going in on glitter.
Yeah, no, I'll fight glitter. No, it's bad. But no, there was a specific speck of glitter on my pants that was on this pair of pants in the same spot, and that's how I know it was the same speck of glitter. For 3 years. They were washed weekly for 3 years. But like, it's horrible. I was about to go in an Anakin spiel. It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere. No,
Sand.
It's so annoying. There's no need for it. It's not a fun craft thing. It very rarely looks good on a person. It's just not worth having. It needs to be stopped.
We do not allow glitter for birthday parties at the Gymnastics Sport Center, and I think that is a very not only wise thing to do, but I think it's also very self-explanatory. Most of the time when I tell people when they call to book a birthday party, I'm like, we don't do glitter, and they're like, yeah, we completely get it. Nobody's ever like tried to fight me on it. But yeah, we had one person one time who brought in a confetti and glitter cannon, and I was just like, what is that? Like, why are those words even affixed to each other? That doesn't even make any sense, and we are still cleaning up that nonsense. Every once in a while I'll find it. That and Nerf darts.
Exactly. Exactly. It gets everywhere.
All right, are you done about glitter?
I'm never done
Never.
complaining. I am never.
I think we as a collective would never be done with that battle.
Yeah.
This is going to be highly controversial,
Oh, okay.
and I'm sure the video will get disliked for this. Sorry, Aaron. But it must be said, tea is better than coffee. Tea's better than coffee.
I completely agree.
Tea is way better than coffee. All right. Anyone who thinks that their goofy bean juice is better than my magic leaf water is insane.
Okay.
That was the most like Magic the Gathering thing I've ever heard you say. Goofy bean juice versus the leaf.
I'm not gonna say every tea is good. I'm not that crazy, but a lot of teas are good. We live here in the South, Southern style sweet tea with just regular black tea leaves. Awesome, love it. Not a big fan of milk teas personally. I've recently started having some chamomile tea before bed, and my sleep has been immensely improved, and I quite love it. Coffee can't do that for me, but tea can. So there you go.
Funny aside, I actually agree with you. Like, I think I'm not a coffee drinker. I've never been. And this morning, this morning I had to help my mom with her coffee, and not a fan of coffee, just around the board. But so funny thing that you mentioned, us being from the South, and yes, we like sweet tea around here most of the time. Yes, sweet tea is good. Depends on where you get it from, because sometimes they put like a whole like this size cube in it. Sometimes you get a little
tea,
sweet,
not syrup.
Yeah, that's right. But so we were in Spokane, Washington 2 years ago, me and my mom. And she, not thinking that Washington is not in the South, she ordered half and half tea and broke our waitress's brain. She had no idea what the other half could be. It's like, we just have the one tea here. And so she brought her like 3 or 4 different things, not knowing. And so I've got a picture of my mom with all these different tea glasses that are not half and half tea. One was like a Arnold Palmer, and the other one's like cranberry something. I don't know. And I was like, and you know what I got? A Coke. You know what's the same everywhere? A Coke.
You know, it's funny. If you ask for tea in Norway, they will bring you a glass of extremely hot water or some kind of pitcher with hot water and a tea bag. And that's, if you ask for tea, that's just what you're going to get. If you want iced tea, which is, if you in the South here, if you ask for tea, they're going to bring you a glass of iced tea. But in Norway specifically, you have to ask for iced tea if you want what we would traditionally just call tea.
All right, and so my randomly strong opinion of the day is that, I go to a decent amount of fast food places, and all of them do this as far as I know. And they, you pull up to the speaker, you order, you're like, hey, what do you want? And you're like, hey, this is what I want. And then they say, would you like some ketchup with that? I'm like, and so I don't like tomatoes, so I don't get ketchup. And I don't really eat them on my fries. I eat my fries plain. Maybe that's another randomly strong opinion. But yeah, so I say, no, I wouldn't like any ketchup, thank you. And they go, okay, guess what's in the bag? There will be 12 ketchups. There will be 12 ketchups in the bag. It's not even just one, just in case you change your mind. There is like an entire batch of ketchup that has been thrown at you. And the thing is, I just don't understand how any of these fast food places stay in business for all of the wanton ketchup that is being given to people who say that they don't want it. And I just need to tell y'all that I think that Patty in budgeting is very upset with y'all. She's very ashamed. You just wasted $3 million in ketchup packets to me alone, I'm pretty sure. So there you go. Quit giving out ketchup packets to people who don't want it.
All I heard
I told you I was super upfront. I don't know. I didn't lead you on and be like, maybe I want some ketchup. No, I don't want any ketchup. Give it to somebody else who wants it.
I don't know how to be more clear about this. Do not put ketchup in my bag.
So
if there is ketchup, I'm coming inside, and you won't want to see me.
If I go to Taco Bell, I like the Diablo sauce.
Got it.
But I don't need 15.
Yeah.
And I usually
you do.
No, I don't. I usually tell them at the the window, hey, I want some Diablo sauce, but only 2 packets. But still, it's like they just grab a fistful and just there you go, buddy. How wasteful is that? I throw away 15 packets every time I go.
It's like, listen, if you're gonna give me this much ketchup, at least give me a bucket to go with it. Maybe we need some to bathe in ketchup or something.
Maybe it's to make the sack feel heavier, so you feel like you got more value.
that maybe that's it. It's kind of like the switching thing in Indiana Jones when he's got the the pouch and he's like trying to switch it. It's like, hey, so during all of this with inflation and everything, we're gonna cut your burger size in half and give you that same amount of weight and ketchup. There you go. So it feels like the same, and nobody gets mad at them. We're on to you. I will have you know. All right, so that'll about do it for us. Thank you for staying. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for staying long enough to hear me say these words. I appreciate that. But yeah, if you're enjoying the podcast for whatever reason, please remember to like and subscribe. Follow us on Facebook. We're on YouTube. We're on Spotify. You can see us at all those places. You can see clips. We're going to be doing a lot of shorter form content. We're going to be doing lots of stuff, to help you up your coaching game. And we do have an email address, and Kaegan's going to tell you what it is.
No, I will not. No, it is askcoc@yahoo.com.
So thank you so much for hanging out with us. We appreciate it. Please stay tuned for Pinocchio's quest to become a real boy.
And have a flipping great day. Are you talking about me?
We tear you down. Have you watched a single one of these podcasts?
I've watched me cut you out of most.
Yeah, exactly.
Listen. Not everything's about you, and don't forget to set.